Hello, today is March 10th, and you are watching the Viewscreen.
The Viewscreen is your weekly Star Trek magazine program with features, special guests, and lots of love for our Star Trek family, streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. Is it Instagram? It's not Instagram, is it?
No,
It's YouTube, the Facebook,
it's just
and Twitter.
YouTube. Now, if you're not able to watch us live, don't worry, we've got you covered. You can come back to YouTube and watch the replay, or just hang out. We will get you on our audio podcast. You can find that wherever you get your podcasts. We are there.
We really do appreciate all of your support. So we would like to remind you of the 287th rule of acquisition: subscribers equals profit. So please make sure you hit the like and subscribe buttons to make sure you never miss an episode of the Viewscreen. So we do have a goal, as Amy has said in previous episodes, to hit 100 subscribers by the end of our 10-episode run, and we're currently at 72. So we are nearly 3/4 of the way there. So one last push. We really want to get to 100 subscribers. So we really do appreciate all of your help and support.
Now, we're only here once a week, and I'm sure you want to hang out with us a little bit more. So come on over in Facebook. It's called the BQN Collective, but we wanted to, let you know of Discord. I'm really liking it, you guys. So come on over to Discord. We've got all of our podcasts there. It's a good community. So find us there on Discord.
Wonderful.
We've got some people watching us. Rashid, hello.
Hey, Rashid. Rashid, I'm so glad you got the message about the time change. So well done to all our UK viewers who've noticed that we are here at 4 p.m. today live. You too, Tim. Thank you. Amy, the temporal anomaly has put us 1 hour closer to each other across the airwaves.
That is very true. That is a very good way to look at it. We're an hour closer.
Absolutely. Before we start today, I know when we usually do our news segment on the Viewscreen, Kristen likes to start off with some birthdays and anniversaries. So I would like to give a special shout out to Kristen, who is 40 years old today, celebrating her big birthday. Also explains her absence. She might be a little fuzzy-headed this morning. So a very, very happy birthday, Kristen, to everyone here at the Viewscreen, all of your friends. We all love you.
Oh. Happy birthday, Kristen.
Shall we take a look at what's coming up on today's show?
Sure. Oh. Well, we are going to talk transformations with Alex Rosales. Hi, Alex.
Hello.
We are going to be discussing the upcoming D&I Con with Dan Deevy from Gaze in Space. Hey, Dan.
Hey, everybody.
And finally, we're going to have a batleth battle with our good friend Kevin Scharf. Hey, Kevin.
Kapla.
Wow, that's going to be a very fun show.
Well, let's get on with it then, shall we? Let's welcome to the stage Alex Rosales. And Alex, we are going to talk transformations. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Absolutely. Before I dive in, just for your audience who may not know me, my name is Alex Rosales. And I actually know Amy and Kelvin from the Star Trek Con circuit. I think we first met in Vegas. Is that right? I think it was Vegas.
Yes.
2019.
We've connected there. And I think we really hardened our connection on the Star Trek cruise, which we just came off of. And, that was incredible. And, I think it was the kind of connections that I've had with people like you that have inspired me to want to have these conversations in this podcast. But before I talk about that myself, I actually, outside of being a Trekkie, have worked in the tech industry for 26 years, for a quarter of a century. And, you know, I'm self-taught. I didn't go to college, and which is kind of unusual in the industry I work in these days, at least. And one of the things that you know, I've learned along the way is that being unique in that way, having a unique background, and you know, also being queer and Hispanic, and also things that are not also super common in that industry. You know, things didn't quite always resonate with me in the environment I was in, and I always knew that I was different growing up in the world and in my career as well. And so over the last 7 years, I've been on this journey towards trying to figure out like who exactly is Alex Rosales, right? And what makes him tick, and what is authentically me. And in that journey, I've encountered so many people who are on a similar path. And so rather than trying to explain to you what this podcast that I want to launch is going to be about, I've got a short intro clip. If you want to run it, that'd be awesome.
Wonderful. Well, welcome to the Viewscreen, Alex. Now you've found yourself. Let's play your video and tell the viewers a little bit more.
Hey folks, I've got a question for you. What is more important for you? Being liked by many for putting on an image that is shaped by others' expectations? Or is it more important to you that you be loved for the real you by fewer but more meaningful connections? I'm betting that you'd rather be loved for who you are, but despite this, the fear of rejection often leads you to abandon your true self. So why do we do this to ourselves? Is it because the sting of rejection is too painful, or is the fear of being alone? Why do we allow these fears to prevent us from living authentically? Don't we want to seek out people who resonate with us, who celebrate our uniqueness? I mean, come on, doesn't it get exhausting trying to be someone that we're not? For me, the answer is overwhelmingly yes. I've been on a journey of finding my authentic self for the past 7 years, and along the way, I've met inspiring people on similar paths. They're exploring their true identities, searching for purpose, and seeking authentic connections that bring meaning to the human condition. I want you to join me in a series of candid conversations where we'll dive into these stories of authenticity. We'll navigate through adversity, we'll celebrate victories, and we'll share the profound moments of embracing our true selves. Together, we'll discover the joy in finding purpose and the power of living authentically. Are you ready to uncover the real you? If so, hit follow, join in the discussion, and share your own journey towards authenticity. Look forward to seeing you there.
Awesome.
Whoa, thank you, Alex. So that looks like a great trailer for what looks like an upcoming podcast series. So when do people get to see that? When are you going to go live?
Yeah, so I'm hoping to go live by the end of next month. I've got a few interviews lined up. I think that's really going to drive the timing of it. But you know, I have some people, such as someone who's had humble beginnings living on the streets of Ukraine, and who's now an executive who's worked at Amazon, Apple, and now is at Google. People who have wrestled with gender identity and how that struggle has made them stronger. Someone whose journey to authenticity led them to write and publish a highly rated book on Amazon. In fact, that was the person who really encouraged and pushed me, said, you have to do this podcast, because we were talking about his book launch and how it was about transformational journeys. And people who've made, you know, finding their authentic self their actual career, and how that's a part of how they coach others. I also want to give credit, by the way, to the name of this podcast, to Amy. You know, Amy and I were talking about what I want to do, and you know, I was struggling with the name for it, you know, and I really, you know, wanted to emphasize the authenticity side of this, because I think authenticity is important. But it's that journey towards authenticity that ends up defining people, and is what's so inspiring. And like you and I were talking about, Kelvin, about how that the failures along the way, right, that really define people, make them relatable, and help us understand who we are.
Absolutely.
Before I forget, I didn't put anything in there about the name because I literally just launched it yesterday on YouTube. So it's at Transformational Journeys on YouTube right now. That's the current place you can go to subscribe. So when I do launch it, you will receive a notification. You can watch the first episode.
Wonderful. So is it going to be a video series, a little bit like the view screen here, or is it an audio podcast, or is it going to be in both formats?
Yeah, exactly. Both formats. I think, video is super important because I think how we present ourselves to the world is a big part of our authenticity. And so I think there's going to be a big visual element, but I also want to make it accessible to people who, may be vision impaired or who may not be in front of a view screen to be able to watch it. So both formats.
Wonderful. So, I mean, you mentioned yourself, a lot of these things start with our own experiences of struggling maybe with authenticity. Not that I want to steal content, your thunder from episode 1 maybe, but why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, Alex, and your journey towards authenticity and what drove you towards this passion for this subject?
Yeah, no, you're not stealing any content. Most of the focus is going to be on other people. So, this will be one of the rare moments I'll get to talk about.
You get to be the guest. You're our guest.
Exactly. No, I think, for me, I grew up, I knew something was different being queer. I knew growing up in the 80s, it was tough because you didn't have what we have today, right? Where it's visible, and when you can see it, you can be it. I knew something was different about myself. And the problem is that I struggled to connect with my peers. And, I didn't have any friends growing up, and I, sort of embedded myself in front of a computer. And that served me in the long term because I have an amazing tech career to thank for that. But one of the challenges was I just struggled to connect with other human beings. And, what I realized was that the reason why I was struggling to connect to other human beings is because I was struggling to connect with myself. And I think Star Trek really taught me that. And it's kind of funny, and I'm getting a little emotional right now, but like Discovery really, I hated that show when it first came out because I'm a huge TNG fan, and that's like my thing. And I'm like, oh, you ruined the Klingons, and who's the captain and what's going on and all of that. But as the show progressed, it kind of like, I felt like it was on a very similar journey that I was, where Michael is figuring out who she is and how standing in her authenticity, at first created all this turmoil for her, but in the end led to her saving the universe, right? And so, and I think that even the show's progression towards the focus on connection and how that's what we all live for, right? So you've heard me talk about transformation, you've heard me talk about authenticity, but like the thing that's really driven me towards authenticity is human connection. I think we all want to connect with others. And if we can't authentically connect with ourselves, we can't authentically connect with others. So that I think is hopefully gives you a summary of why this is so important to me.
Wonderful. Amy, anything you want to add?
No, we do have some comments in the chatter. We've got Rashid, who said, authenticity is extremely important in my opinion too. I'm genuinely, oh my gosh. Genuinely myself. Amy, who has met me in person, will say I'm exactly the same in real life as I am online. And that is true.
I love seeing that. I think authenticity is becoming a huge value in this day and age. I think in the 20th century, it was all about a lot of conformity. We didn't have as much access to material and content to find your tribe or your community. And now that the whole world is connected, I think people feel safer to be themselves and connect with themselves because they can find people that resonate with them more easily, right? And so I think that you're going to see more and more this conversation around authenticity and how important it is.
Yeah, I often say to people in the workplace, usually junior guys who come in to do the job on my team, that, having your work self and your personal self is very exhausting. So bring as much authenticity to work as you can, because you are in an environment, certainly the company I work for, where not only are differences tolerated, they're celebrated. So the more personality and authenticity you can bring to the company, it just helps with our values and culture overall. So it is a subject area that I'm very, very fond of talking about, because of the journey you mentioned in your video of growing up and maybe staying quiet and fitting in the background and being something that others expect you to be rather than what you are. So yeah, well done for bringing this out, Alex. I'm looking forward to watching.
If I have a moment, I wanted to riff on that really quickly. One of my other inspirations is a consulting company that a good friend of mine founded called Finding Human. And they've shown that as well, that when people can show up and be their authentic selves and connect with their authentic selves, allows them to connect with other people in the workplace. And so they do this sort of coaching similar to what you described, Kelvin, where it's like, hey, show up authentically. And I think the other thing I want to say is that, like, we have different versions of ourselves. There's the authentic Viewscreen Kelvin and Amy, then the authentic work Kelvin and Amy, the authentic Star Trek cruise Kelvin and Amy, right? And all of those are authentic, and they might show up differently, right? And so I don't want to leave people feeling like, oh, I got to be the same way in every single context. I think you're learning as you engage in different contexts. You can learn, what does that look like for you to be authentic? And that's what's so beautiful about this journey, is it never ends. You're just constantly, oh my gosh, wow, I didn't know that was me.
I don't know how authentic I was on the cruise. My bloodstream was about 90% tequila at most of the time. So.
Yeah, well, I was going to have a talk with you off screen about that. But
Well, Amy, shall we bring the rest of our guests in to talk about authenticity? So let's welcome Dan and Kevin onto the view screen. Let's start with Dan. Dan, certainly you're such a champion of diversity. What have you got to say about what Alex is promoting here?
Well, first thing is, I am not at all surprised that Alex is doing this, and I'm not at all surprised that he's doing it so well. I've known that guy right there, or depending on where you are on the screen, that guy right there, for probably not nearly as long as I feel like I have, because Alex is his authentic self. And when you get to know people on such a real level that you have no choice but to think, yeah, I've known that guy forever. Like, weren't we in kindergarten together? No, that's weird. So it's not at all surprising to me that he would be doing this. And it is exactly what Gaze in Space and D&I Con is all about. We endeavor to give people the safe space to be your authentic selves. And like Alex just said, that doesn't mean that it's the same authentic self that you are at work or that you are with your family. I truly believe that you can be. I truly believe that your authentic self is different depending upon who you're with, depending upon your environment. And there's nothing disingenuous about that. In fact, I think that is someone's strength. It's such a strength to be able to realize that just because you maybe can't be who you are at work, that you are at D&I Con or Gaze in Space Party, that doesn't diminish either one. And the fact that you can do that and you know that is such an incredibly impressive attribute. So so he's awesome. The podcast will be awesome, and I expect my invite to be on the podcast to arrive somewhat soon. So.
Absolutely. I just want to comment on that. Thank you so much, Dan. And I wanted to say that, Gaze in Space was another one of those places where I was able to experience that feeling of being able to be myself. And I'm so thankful for it. And the time that, we also worked together on it, which was so much fun. And thank you so much for all of that you've done for me and for the community.
Absolutely.
And Kevin, I'm interested to hear your interpretation of authenticity from somebody who spends a large chunk of your life dressed as a clown or as Santa Claus. How do you interpret authenticity when you've got all of these different personas?
I wanted to mention, especially clowning. Like, clowning is something that I had been interested in for years and years and years and years, but never took the step to learn about it and to do it myself, because I was always afraid of what other people would think, that it was going to be that I would be, that it was dumb, that it was silly. And then I had this realization on my 50th birthday where I was like, it doesn't matter. I want to do this. I'm going to take that leap, and I'm going to learn about it. And you know what? Once I did that and I told my friends what I was going to be doing, everybody was like, well, that's perfect for you. Why haven't you done this before? So, you know, embracing your authentic self, even when you're older, when, you know, just do it, because you only have one life and you don't want to hide away your passions because of what other people think. And that's, I had that sort of come to Jesus moment around my 50th birthday. And so, and of course, meeting Amy and joining the podcasting network has all become part of that too. You know, I put my real self out onto the interwebs forever. So, you know, you've only got one life, you've only got one persona, you've only got so much time. Do what you love and love what you do. As long as you're not hurting anybody, I say go for it.
50 is the new 30, my friend. You are right on track. You are right on time. You are.
Thank you.
That's such a great story, you know, and it's a good example of how if we don't, you know, each person is authentic, is nobody can be youer than you, right? I think Dr. Seuss said, right? And we need that. And it's funny that with like Star Trek, we talk about seeking out new life and new civilizations. There is so much to explore on this planet, and we're missing out on it when people don't take the steps that you did, Kevin, to say like, this is what I want, this is what I care about, and I'm going to bring that to the world. And now we're so grateful that you have. So, you know, that's a great story. Thank you for doing that. And it's just a wonderful example of how much wonderful, you know, uniqueness we can see in the world if people just show up like that. So thank you.
And so sometimes being your authentic self also includes pretending to be other people.
Yeah.
See?
So, Alex, we know that your time is limited with us today. So before you have to head off, why don't you tell the viewers a little bit where they can find you online if they're interested in hearing and finding a bit more out about you?
Yeah, absolutely. Right now, I have a YouTube channel set up, and it's at Transformational Journeys. And I'll make sure that there's a link there for your audience as well to click on if that works. But yeah, at Transformational Journeys, the intro is there. And like I said, hopefully towards the end of April, if you hit subscribe, you'll get notified when we go live. So thank you so much.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining us today here on the Viewscreen. We certainly can't wait to take a look at the show when it goes live. And it's just a treat to see you, my friend.
Likewise.
We miss you already, or even though it was only just over a week ago when we last embraced in
feels too long.
America.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alex. Okay. Well, what have we got coming up next, Amy?
Well, I am very excited to have on with us Dan Deevy, who is the founder of Gaze in Space, and is going
say it, Amy. Come on. Say it. Say it.
Gaze in Space.
Love it.
And is going to be talking to us about the Galactic D&I Con.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you both so much for having me, and especially since you both know me, and you know that when you ask a question, I can pretty much go on forever. So I know it's a risk, on a timed show. So I appreciate your bravery. And
how many times did I say, all right, a 10-minute presentation?
10 minutes. I know.
There will be visual clues to
That's
how
cool.
you're getting on, Dan. Don't worry.
I never feel insulted with a little bit of this. That's fine. Okay, so Gaze in Space has been around for going on 8 years now. It was created because there was a gay character in Star Trek. It took 50 plus years for us to see a regular human gay character. It happened in Star Trek Beyond. Well, it happened. No one talked about it. There was no pomp, zero circumstance, nothing. Well, I decided it needed to be commemorated. So we went to Star Trek Las Vegas, threw a party, not thinking anybody would care. Lots of people cared. So the next thing we know, here we are 8 years later, 250 events we've done all across the country on Star Trek The Cruise. And last year was the culmination of all of that work, all of that community building with the first annual Galactic Diversity and Inclusion Convention in downtown Philadelphia. We had 30 sci-fi celebrity guests that joined us for the first one. I have never heard of another first-time convention that wasn't put on by like Paramount directly, that had that kind of guest list right out of the gate. And the reason that we did is because our convention is not Ferengi at all. It is not about profit. In fact, Quark would be so disappointed in me. It's about bringing people together and giving them that safe space. Not only that, we have taken the next step. First phase of Gaze in Space was the community building, because I think Alex said it earlier, and this is one of my favorite expressions. If you can't see it, you can't be it. And so for 50 plus years, everyone in the LGBTQIA plus community were told we didn't make it. We didn't make it into the future. Now we know that we have. And the way that we are now going to make sure that that future becomes a reality is by making changes today. And one of those changes is having people who have never met a member of our community before come to an event, not because they want to change their hearts or their minds, but because they're like, oh my God, Kate Mulgrew is going to be there, which she will be this year, by the way, the second annual D&I Con in downtown Philadelphia. One more time, April 19th through the 21st. Get your tickets at www.dnicon.org. So Kate's going to be there. And so people are going to come for the celebrities. They always leave with a better understanding and respect for people that are different than they are. And we also started something called the Inclusive Space Academy Scholarship Fund, where we send kids from underrepresented communities to Space Academy in Huntsville, Alabama. So that's one of the things that we're doing to try to make the future that we all aspire to, the future that Roddenberry created for all humankind, a reality. Whew.
Wow.
Was that quick? That was kind of quick.
Love it. Dan, if you provide us with all the links to the website, we'll drop it all in the comments, and then the viewers can go directly to your website and hopefully buy some tickets as well, and they can come and see you in person.
Hopefully. And just to let your audience know, for the next week, if you buy your
What?
tickets and you use a promo code Viewscreen, 10% off.
What?
For you guys.
Wow.
Excellent. So we know quite a lot of folk who came last year and they said it was amazing. The level of interaction with the guests was second to none. Tell us a little bit about how this year's is bigger, better. You've built what's new. What do people have to look forward to this year?
Absolutely. What we did last year that will happen again this year is we remove the velvet rope. You come to our event not to wait online for 45 minutes to go up to a table, get an autograph, spend 20 seconds, 30 if you're lucky, talking to the actor. When you come to D&I Con, the actors are walking around. They're coming to our events. They're coming to the parties. The gala last year, which doubled as my wedding reception, all of the actors were there. Everybody was able to come and hang out with them. And that's part of what we do. Everyone is equal. It is all about universal equality, which also shows itself in how we do our panels. Our panels are not what you're used to. It's not the actors on stage and everybody sitting in theater style seats just watching. The way we do our panels is it starts out 15 minutes on stage, like is normal. After 15 minutes, everyone from the stage, all the actors go to these breakout groups. And it's small groups of people. This year, it's 4 groups. And each actor comes and sits with you for 15 minutes or so. And you're able to have a real exchange. You're able to have a real conversation. Because people who've been to conventions know it's like, sure, you can ask a question, but you need to stand up in a room full of how many hundreds of people, hold a microphone and ask a question and pray that you get your question out the way you hope and that you're not going to be judged for that question. You're in a small group. It's a conversation and it's so much easier. It's at ease. It's a real human interaction. So that's the difference that we give to our attendees. Tickets are the same price for everybody. If you buy your tickets early, those are the people who get the front row seats. You don't have to drop $1,000 or whatever to be close to the actors. You just have to support us early because we need that support. And so that's the vibe. The away missions, learn how to fight with a bat'leth. Bat'leths for beginners, taught by Chancellor Martok and Chancellor Galron. Literally full in costume, learn how to fight with a bat'leth. This year, Denise Crosby is teaching how to salsa dance. Robbie Duncan McNeil, Tom Paris is doing a drone racing tournament. Can you fly faster and better than Tom Paris?
Wow.
These are the kind of things that we do. We are the different convention who still has the same incredibly impressive lineup of guests. So come to ours.
I've been seeing a number of your artist events drop on social media over the last couple of weeks, and the Raptorgino with Raffi is certainly one that I would be straight in there. Michelle Hurd is such an inspirational speaker, just an inspirational person in general. To be in that small, intimate setting with her, wow, that is something that people should jump at.
And I bet the actors prefer a smaller group to interact with.
Oh my God. Last year they left, they're always amazing. They are so, I always say that as Star Trek fans, we're so lucky because they say never meet your heroes. Well, if your heroes are Trek actors, meet them because they are incredible human beings with 1 or 2 exceptions, but the majority are incredible human beings. I have never seen them enjoy a convention more than they did at D&I Con. They absolutely loved it because, like you, Amy, like you said, they want to be in smaller groups so they can have real connections. They want to know their fans. They don't want it to be all about them. And for, love of the universe, they don't want to answer questions about how long the makeup took. That's not what they're interested
What's your favorite episode?
Oh God. Yeah. I mean, which is, those are fine questions if that's what you're really interested in. Just don't be surprised when they answer quickly and move on.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely.
Wonderful, wonderful. And if you're very lucky, you can have Denise Crosby dressed as Moira LaRose, dressed as the Pope, officiating your wedding ceremony. Congratulations to you and Rich, by the way.
Thank you. I still can't believe that happened. I hate watching videos of anything that I've done before. However, the wedding, I have rewatched an unhealthy amount of times because Denise Crosby, Tasha Yar married me. I can say that, and it's true. So, holy goodness. And she's also gotten work out of that, by the way. She has now, she's gotten requests to officiate at other weddings. Whether or not she's going to wear the Pope hat, I don't know. But yeah, we opened a door for her, and I'm very happy we could do that.
Love it. Well, let's bring Kevin in and see what Kevin's got. Kevin, have you been to a Gaze in Space event before at any of the conventions?
No, I haven't. They all sound like such amazing, fun events. I just haven't had the chance to make it to one yet. Sorry, Dan.
It's okay. Just come to D&I Con, April 19th through the 21st in downtown Philadelphia.
Well, Amy and I certainly have been to the events. We know that they're such a great party, and you've been clearly missed in any of the official cons that we've been to recently, and Gaze in Space haven't been present. You've been present in Amy and I walking around wearing our t-shirts in defiance.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, I was telling you, Dan, off air, I was having breakfast and it was dinner. And as we do, if you've eaten dinner with me, we like to, have table conversation. And this one guy across the table was just going on and on about last year's D&I Con, how great it was and how much fun and with the actors and how it was better and that he's going again this year. He was just, I let him have his, because he was sure loving telling me all about it. I'm like, yep, that's right. Everyone who goes has a great time.
That's amazing to hear because we have missed coming to. I mean, we did Vegas for I don't know how many years. Like I began my career as a member of the press, and I covered Vegas for since 2012 or something like that. And so we definitely miss being there. And the cruise we did 3 or 4 of them. And the last one we did was the very best Trekkie feud that we have ever done. I mean, I still cannot believe that it wasn't just only standing room. It was outside into the hallway where the people from the cruise had to come and make people leave because they were like, you're a fire hazard now. I have always wanted to be a fire hazard. And on that cruise during that event, my dream came true. Yeah. So we miss being there, but you know what? Doing our own convention, being the minority group as the hosts, it's our event. We welcome everybody in, but unlike other things where we are fortunate enough to be invited and to, be welcomed as a small part of the overall event, for it to be ours is the most incredible feeling that, as much as we love the other events, has been just, it's unparalleled. It really is.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and thank you for providing yet another time and place where we can celebrate our love of Trek.
And just remind the viewers and listeners one more time, Dan, of the website with all the details.
Yes. So go to dnicon.org, dnicon.org. That will take you to, as soon as you open up the page, click on the tickets link. That brings you to the ticket page. And you'll look through, you will see all of the away missions, which, by the way, we still haven't finished announcing all of them. We have Rock to Gino with Rafi, that just came up. We've got Game Night Shenanigans with Terry Farrell, Salsa Dancing with Denise, Batlets for Beginners, Mechlets for Masters, a Klingon Banquet to start out the whole convention, Racing Robbie, Orville guys. We have Penny Johnson Gerald is teaching a From the Page to the Stage workshop where people write 10-minute original scenes in either the DS9 universe or the Orville universe featuring her characters. She's doing 2 Zooms ahead of the convention, working through those things. People will be acting. They get there. There's a 90-minute workshop. And then on Sunday, a staged reading of every scene where Penny plays her character. So everyone who's a part of that away mission acts a scene with Cassidy Yates or Dr. Finn. What? What?
Wow.
So, yeah, that's just a few. There are more. Like, check it out. Check it out.
Well, we look forward to hearing all about the event by all the people who attended the event afterwards. We can't wait to hear how much fun everybody had. But yeah, well done, Dan. You've certainly whet everybody's appetite. We hope it's a huge success like last year. And yeah, we wish you and the guys at Gaze in Space all the best.
Yeah.
Thank you. Again, thank you so much for having me. And again, buy your tickets, use the promo code Viewscreen, 10% off anything that you get, just because we appreciate you so much and for having me. So thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for the discount for our viewers. And yeah, we look forward to seeing you a little later in the show. Thanks, Dan.
Excellent. Thank you.
Wow. What? I just love. I'm sorry. I'm really struggling. I didn't get my coffee this morning. But no, I'm so glad to have Alex and Dan here. I mean, to have these places, like Dan saw a need and went and did something about it, you know?
Yeah, it was a huge, Gaze in Space were a huge part of my initial coming to STLV, just because I wanted to go to one of the parties. So yeah, it's a fantastic organization and a great event.
Yeah.
So shall we take a little break and then we'll continue with the show in just a few minutes.
What else can you listen to on the BQN? Replicate yourself a mug of hot chocolate and join Amy, Mark, Christos, and Kelvin as they discuss everything and anything in the Star Trek universe on All Good Things. Boost yourself with an energy drink and join Deevy on YouTube and Twitch for reviews and live streams of classic, cheap, and sometimes more recent video games on Bargain Bin Gamer. Brew yourself a pot of coffee and join Jeremiah to discuss Star Trek Voyager on The Captain's Couch. Mix your favorite cocktail and join Mark and Matt at Cinema Z to discuss the films you probably missed but should definitely check out. Pour a cup of tea, Earl Grey, hot, and listen to Stephen and Keith as they discuss the next generation of Trek on Galaxy Class. Get yourself something caffeinated and learn an interesting bit of history with Chrissy and Jason on History with the Zloggies. Have a bowl of Flo-Meek soup and join Thad and Chrissy and a guest to discuss new episodes of Star Trek as they are released on Infinite Diversity. Have something to sharpen your mind and put your Trek knowledge to the test with the Treksperts quiz. Take a bite out of something that didn't seem edible and join Kyle, Kevin, Amy, and Haley covering all things in New Trek, including that show that is Trek in all but name, The Orville, on Union Federation. Get your Sunday brunch ready for The Viewscreen, a live weekly talk show hosted by Kelvin and Amy with featured guests talking about all things Trek. Pour a glass of wine and spill some tea with Christos, where he discusses current Trek news and events and explores the world of fandom via guest interviews, all with an LGBTQIA+ perspective on What's the Tea, Bev? And Patreon members get to pass around that green bottle of Aldebaran whiskey once a month on the round table, and they can listen to It's Green with Mark White and Amy's Math Moments.
And we're back. So, Amy, what have we got next?
Well, Tim made the lovely, astute comment that I might need my own personal nebula for my morning cup of coffee. Yes.
I would like to ask for the nation, Amy. What are you drinking instead? It looks like you're on the Bloody Marys.
No, but it is a mix of orange juice and cranberry juice.
Wonderful.
So
Wonderful.
that is what I am drinking today.
It's a sex on the beach instead. That's what you've done.
Well, it is the beginning of spring break, but you know, when you don't really work too much, then what's spring break?
I love it. Well, let's I will hand over to you,
Okay,
Amy. Your
yes.
good friend is about to join us.
I know, so excited. When I hosted Galaxy Class with Kevin Scharf, Kevin came up with a fabulous idea to do Batleth battles, where we take 2 episodes and put them up against each other and see who comes out victorious. And it was a big hit with our listeners. Wasn't it, Kevin?
Every now and then I have a good idea. So I'm glad
your
this one
idea.
worked. Yeah.
Yeah, so we wanted to bring you onto the view screen so we could have a little Batleth battle and just, you know, bring this back to our listeners.
Well, I think that's a good idea because there may be more Batleth battles coming in the future. So why not do a little sneak peek right now?
Yes.
And I thought, why just limit ourselves to the next generation when there are over 900 episodes of Star Trek out there? So I have a randomizer tool, and I spun my wheel twice, and I gave you guys 2 episodes to take a look at. So we're going to have a little mini Batleth battle right now where we talk about Live Fast and Prosper, which is Star Trek Voyager season 6 episode, and also A Moral Star, which is the last episode of the first half of Star Trek Prodigy. So did you guys have a chance to take a look at those episodes?
I did.
Amy.
Now listen, I did just watch A Moral Star. So I'm very familiar with that one, but
Okay.
gosh darn, that Voyager one, you're just going to have to help me out with that.
We'll workshop it with you, Amy. Don't worry.
Yeah, I did have a chance to watch them both, and I am not as familiar with Voyager as many people are, so I was very excited when Voyager came up because to me, this was almost like a brand new episode for me. I don't know if I had ever seen Live Fast and Prosper before, so I was very excited to watch it. Now, normally when we did this on Galaxy Class, I would ask somebody to give a brief synopsis of this. I'm guessing, Amy, you don't want to do that?
Yeah, no, thank you.
So I'll just sum it up in a nutshell. This is an episode where 3 con artists pretend to be Janeway, Tuvok, and Chakotay and are bilking planets and mining colonies out of their product in the name of Voyager. I found this a really fun episode. Kelvin, I know you've watched it. So what do you think overall of Live Fast and Prosper?
I like it. I think it is a very fun episode. I would go as far to call it a romp because it is just quite silly in places, and yeah, it's that kind of warped perception of our heroes and people being duped. So there's some really good, strong lessons of authenticity even in the episode. But I mean, I get triggered by incorrect cosplay. So I get taken out of the episode because the pips are massive and the con badges are
giant con badge.
It's almost like the con artists are doing really bad cosplay, so, which is part of the charm of it too.
Exactly. I liked that we focused on Neelix and Paris. I thought that was a nice pairing that we don't. I don't. As someone who doesn't watch Voyager a lot, I'm not sure if that's a pairing that we see very often. But Neelix and Tom seem to really work well together in this episode, don't you think?
Yeah, I do, and I think there was. They actually referenced it in the episode. If you think of Neelix when Voyager first started, he was a lot like those con artists. He was very opportunistic and wanting a leg up, and came aboard Voyager because it gave him a better quality of life. And the Neelix you get in this episode is like a 6 years later brainwashed version of trusting everybody openly. And as a result of that trust, he got duped. So, you know, season 1 Neelix would have been all over this. He would never have been caught out by Sister Darla.
Exactly. Amy, did you have something to add?
Yeah, I do. I think, can I invite Dan into the group? And then Dan, you can sort of be my proxy. What do you think about live fast and prosper?
So you're tagging me in, is what you're saying. Okay. I agree. That was a very fun romp of an episode. But I also agree with Kelvin. The uniforms were so distracting. I kept thinking I was looking at the people at conventions that I say, great job. But then I'm thinking the pips were too big. They were too big. Can I please, or they were on the wrong side. Can I please just very respectfully give you mine?
I must make a confession here, full disclosure. So I went for my photo op on the cruise a couple of weeks ago with Tawny Newsome. And I got my partner James to put my pips on, as you do, you know, get them all lined up. We went for the picture. We came out and he just looked quite horrified. And I said, what? He said, I put your pips on the wrong side.
Oh.
Ooh, the air was blue.
Well, I don't know. Amy,
you know
remember
send me that photo and I will Photoshop it correctly for you. Because I can't have you out there. You represent such good cosplay that we can't have that. So no. I'm going to fix that for you.
Amy, you do remember that day in Chicago where I wore my uniform shirt backwards the whole day? Do you remember that? I had it on the wrong way around. It was new. I'd never worn it before. Yeah. But so bad cosplay might drop this down a notch. Rashid has a nice comment here that he loves when fake Tuvok met real Tuvok. That was a very fun moment when the fake Tuvok was trying to out logic our Tuvok. I thought that was a nice moment. I thought lots of people got some nice moments. With
respect to the actor as well, that actor did a really good job at doing fake Tuvok. It was such hero worship, and when he saw real Tuvok, it was such a moment.
Wasn't that actor originally up for the character of Tuvok?
Oh,
I might be making that up, but I have a vague recollection of having heard that story. If I'm wrong, it's just because I didn't know we'd be talking about this episode.
No, all good.
But I think that might be true.
I guess if anybody knows that and can drop it in the comments if you want to confirm. Yes. But I love that. Even if that's just gossip, I think that's a great story. Imagine getting to do the job for the day that you applied for with the guy who beat you at the audition.
Right? Oh.
It harkens back to an old Irish saying, never let the truth get in the way of a good story.
I thought that was a rule of acquisition.
That could be too.
Dan, I think you may be thinking of the actor who played Tuvix and not this guy.
Me.
I'm looking at his credits on Memory Alpha, and I don't see that he was up for it before. He did work on Boston Public with Jerry Ryan and on Models Inc. with Robert Beltran, but he doesn't say here anywhere that he was up for Tuvok.
Interesting. Well, I could be wrong. I mean, I do know that Okana was up for Riker. And then he came back as that, but everybody knows that one.
And the Traveler was up for Data.
Yes. Yeah.
So that happens all the time.
Go ahead and I'm just going to confirm.
Take a look. I also love an episode where Janeway gets her back up. And I thought Janeway was quite fun in this episode too.
Yeah, there's certainly a lighter side of Janeway. For Janeway, that was, this is someone who is questioning the integrity of the Federation and smearing the reputation of Starfleet. You would expect Janeway to go full Tuvix on these guys. And I thought she was quite relaxed in her approach. And I must say, as a food inspector, the threat of giving people food poisoning as their comeuppance, not for me. Give them the break. Don't give them the trots.
The trots.
Well, shall we switch and talk about the episode that Amy watched was a moral star. Now, did you guys watch both parts? Because it was a two-parter. Did you watch both parts?
I did.
I love these episodes. So there's my heart on my sleeve about where my loyalties lie in this battle. But this was the end of the first half of season 1. It really felt like we were building to something, and we got to see all our characters in a great light. So Amy, do you want to just talk about this episode a little bit?
Talking about uniforms, we get to see these, everyone in their uniform, and they just look so good. I really want a Prodigy cosplay. Like, I want that to happen because they look so good. So I like that. And at this point, like I said, it's the end. And so they've gone through all their struggles. Dahl did his weird genetic thing. They did the time warp one, and saved the ship. And
I don't think Dahl's been through his weird genetic thing yet. That happened at the beginning of the second half.
Oh, okay. But they have gone through struggles.
They've been through the Kobayashi Maru and the time warp. Yeah.
Yeah. And like, he's accepted. He's the captain. They're in their places now. And so having them work together and to try and come up against the Diviner and is really, really cool. It's a good episode. I like it.
It's one of the first times you see them as a real pseudo Starfleet crew.
Yeah.
And when you're just doing a rewatch, it's quite hard to kind of identify that. But if you were watching in order, they kind of putting on those Starfleet uniforms was quite symbolic that everybody had their roles. And I know Rock was still kind of undergoing her word, am I security? Am I science? Where do I fit in? And you had that little kind of, I'm not just here to hold the door shut moment. I loved it. One of the things I loved, and again with Dan here with Gaze in Space, is we had our own little gay moment in this episode as well. On a Nickelodeon cartoon, would you have it? When the universal translators worked for all of the little prisoners on Tars Lamora, and they said, I've never heard you speak before, and I've got all these feelings hidden and pent up after all these years, and then they just cut away from it quickly. But that's our little inclusivity moment in Prodigy. I loved it.
It is funny, isn't it, how much we embrace the littlest of recognition. Give us scraps, baby. We will take those scraps and we will talk about them for days. Like, yeah.
So I think the other moment that solidified the group as a team was Hologram Janeway and her sort of when she said, I'm really proud of these kids. They really are a Starfleet team. But then we get is Gwyn being taken? I love that they don't let us in on the entire plan, right?
Right.
We know the sort of overall of their plan, but we don't know all the specifics. So when Gwyn stays behind, you think, things are going wrong. When they fire on the mining colony and the gravity goes off, we're like, things are going wrong.
Yeah.
They accounted for all of these things. Like, these kids are smart.
Yeah, and that was, Dahl's like so nervous. He's like, it just can't be, a half-baked plan. Like, we need to have this planned out. And I noticed that on my rewatch, and then to see it happening, I'm like, oh yeah. Because the first time around, I was like, oh no, they're, they lost the communication or they lost their gravity. And now what they're going to do. But yeah, that was planned and intentional. And again, showing strength of how well that they've come together as a crew.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a huge amount with these two episodes of Voyager and Prodigy that you can say there are similarities. But one of the things I liked was the idea of using the hologram as the kind of the foil, the surprise, the double bluff. In Prodigy, you have corrupted Janeway hologram who really had a safeguard and could come back to normal Janeway to trick the diviner. And then clearly in Live Fast and Prosper, you have the Doctor pretending to be Sister Darla and just reset the parameters of the hologram at the end. So a nice little example in both episodes of using the hologram to put that double bluff over on the enemy.
Fun. So one of the things we used to talk about on Galaxy Class when it came to Bat'leth battles was continuity and how the show uses continuity. How do you feel? I think because Prodigy is a more serialized show than Voyager was, I think that sort of pushes things that way for me. Not that there weren't call-outs, like Kelvin mentioned Neelix's arc on Voyager and even Tom Paris's arc on Voyager as well. But I think when it comes to continuity and connections to canon, Prodigy may have it over the other one here. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that just the fact that it's a different narrative, it definitely has a lot more links to continuity. You get the reveal at the end of the episode, spoilers people, sorry, of the Dauntless, which is the callback to Voyager season 4. You see Admiral Janeway and, the reference to, I'm coming, Chakotay, to launch the second half of the season. It's all continuity. It's great. But there's a couple of nuggets of individual character development continuities in Voyager. There's the messing around with Tuvok's holo program to, put the monks in pajamas. That's a callback to Tom Paris and Tuvok in worst case scenario on the holodeck and messing with the holograms. So there's little bits, but in terms of a whole narrative, there's not a huge amount in Live Fast and Prosper.
Yeah. And again, we're dealing with two different eras of Star Trek here, where back in Voyager days, we were dealing with 26 episodes a year. So not every story is going to sort of advance your plot. So having said that, do you think, should we come to the voting portion here now? Where do people's loyalties lie when it comes to these two episodes?
Yeah, and I'd like to invite the viewers as well. Give us your votes in the comments. Which episode stood out for you as a favorite? Live Fast and Prosper or A Moral Star? But while we wait for those to come in, Dan, why don't you start us off? Which is your preferred? Is it a 30-year-old episode that you've seen a million times or a modern classic?
It is definitely the 30-year-old classic. The thing that I love the new Star Trek series, but for me, they, aside from Lower Decks, I feel like they don't have the same rewatchability factor. And so I've really only seen episodes once. So I will always be drawn to the ones where I can do the dialogue alongside them. And my only critique of Prodigy is General Grievous. I'm sorry, wait, what was the guy's?
The Diviner.
He is a Star Wars villain.
He is a Star Wars villain, isn't he?
Yeah, that's my only thing. So definitely Live Fast and Prosper for me.
Wonderful. Thanks, Dan. And what about you, Amy?
Well, I will just have to go with The Moral Star Part 1 and Part 2, since that's the one that I watched. I'm so sorry.
We've got... I'm really torn. I'm like Dan. I like that comfort that we get from our Berman era of, just having it on in the background on mute and you know the words. It's there. But I will say this episode of Prodigy was a great mid-season cliffhanger. It gave us more of what we wanted. It revealed parts of the story. And to go back and not to get too mushy, but the message of Prodigy about training the young kids and building these Starfleet skills and values and saving the day, and even the, you know, the reveal of the Dauntless and name dropping Chakotay. So for me, as much as it pains me to say, I'm going to go for Prodigy as well. I just think it was a great episode. Had it been measured against maybe any other season 6 episode of Voyager, Voyager possibly would have won. But on this pairing, I'm going Prodigy.
I'm you probably already guessed this, but I'm also leaning towards Prodigy. I don't think that the Voyager episode was bad by any means. I quite enjoyed it. But if it had been if we had ended up choosing a more sort of significant episode of Voyager, I think things might have been different. If this was Scorpion or Year of Hell, then things might have fallen a different way. I think this is a great mid-season episode of Voyager, an episode that is not offensive in any way, just a great deal of fun. But the Prodigy episode advanced our story so much. It gave us great insight into our characters. Dal coming into his own as a captain, not thinking about just himself, but his friends and his people and his ship. I got to give it to the Hagemans and Star Trek Prodigy here.
Hey, and I guess if Amy can vote for Prodigy on the strength of having been the only one she watched, then I guess we've got one more vote for Voyager, because Tim's not yet watched Prodigy. Therefore, that's one more vote for Live Fast and Prosper.
There you go. There you go.
I'm used to being in the minority. I do not mind it. The only thing I will point out is something that Kelvin said. The most exciting moments are when we see Janeway, when we hear Chakotay's name, when we see Chakotay. I'm just saying, when that's kind of the most exciting part of a new thing, the callbacks to the old thing.
Good point. And I would like to point out that Dan's in a very fortunate position here, that he can't piss off Kate Mulgrew because she features in both episodes.
There you go.
We've got to keep her sweet for D&I.
I'm zipping it now. Yeah.
All right. Well, that will be a win for Prodigy. You have to put that in the books.
It
there,
will go
Kevin.
on to the new wheel of second round Batleth battles.
Wonderful.
Excited.
Well, thank you, Kevin, for bringing it. And it's a great pleasure for man, because I'm such a fan of Galaxy Class, of listening to you and Amy on that show and with the Batleth battles that you've done over the years. So it's a real honor and privilege for me to do a Batleth battle, and actually the first time we've podcasted together after all these years.
I think it might be, yeah. No, my pleasure. This has been fun, and like I said, there are things in the works with Batleth battles. I'm hoping. I've talked to someone else who you may be familiar with from Galaxy Class, who may join me as a co-host of Batleth battles. Someone's written a theme song, so things are in motion.
Oh, I wonder who that would be.
Things are in motion, and there will be more Batleth battles coming in the future.
Yay. So just hang out, listen to follow BQN, right?
Exactly.
Okay. All righty. Oh, yep. See, Tim's already.
There we
One
go.
for my future. There you go.
Someone just needs to respond to my messenger messages. So
Come in, Scotland.
So, Kevin, where can people reach you?
So I'm in the BQN quite often. If you want to hear my voice talking about things that are not Star Trek, I'm on a show called The True North Nerds. All of my friends who podcast on that show, we just saw Dune Part 2 last night. So if you want to hear our thoughts on that show, listen next week. I'm also play a character on a Star Trek fan audio drama called Endless Vigilance, and episode 13 of that just came out yesterday. So if you like a good fan-made Star Trek audio drama, give it a listen. I play the commander of a space station who is a Commodore in a distant region of space. So it's quite fun. That's called Endless Vigilance. You can find that where you get podcasts.
Awesome. Well, good. Thank you again for coming on.
Thanks, Kevin.
And Dan, where can people reach you?
Okay, so on all the socials, the Twitter, the Facebook, the Instagram, we are at Gaze in Space. 3 A's in Gaze, 3 A's in Space. If you leave out an A, I don't know where you're going to end up, but we take no responsibility for it. So don't leave out an A. That's also our website, gazeinspace.org.
Right. Thank
Wonderful.
you.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Dan.
Thank you both. It's been super fun. Thanks.
And then Amy, so
Well,
when you're lucky enough to get your coffee and you're messaging everybody online, where can
Yes.
people find you?
well, I'm definitely this week. I'm leaving Twitter. I'm doing it. I'm done. I don't enjoy the platform. And as I mentioned at top, I'm now on Discord. I'm really enjoying it. It's super fun. It's easy. I sort of like it a little more than Facebook.
Ooh.
So I know BQN Collective on Facebook. I'm there a lot, but now on the Discord. So Kelvin, where can people follow you?
Of course, you can see me on the BQN Collective Facebook page, or you can come to me directly on the socials at Kelvin's Timeline. And obviously, you will hear me on All Good Things, which is coming back in a few weeks' time. We can't wait for that.
Oh, I know. We are getting All Good Things coming back. So, yes.
Well, we would love to hear what you thought of today's episode and hope that you'll join our Facebook group, the BQN Collective, as we've just mentioned, to continue the discussion over there. Please hit the like and subscribe button on YouTube. Make sure you never miss an episode of the Viewscreen.
And a huge thank you to our current Patreon members. And if you'd like to support us, please go to patreon.com/BQN. And please don't forget, hit that like and subscribe button. We want those subscribers up a little bit more. And plus, you don't want to miss another episode with us here.
Absolutely. We didn't mention actually at the top of the show. We've been running without producer David today, who's at Star Trek San Francisco. So we're very much looking forward to David coming back next week to help us with the visuals and the music, because I think we've got away with it, but it's not been as smooth as usual.
No,
So
it's
David,
not.
we
And
hope
my
you're having
brain
fun.
has been off elsewhere. I do apologize. David, don't ever leave us again.
Well, a huge thank you to all of our guests and viewers today. Amy, what have we got coming up next week on episode 10, our final in the run?
Yes, it's finally here, episode 10. Well, we're going to have Kristen come back with our news. We have definitely missed that. We have art with Laz Marquez. He's going to come and show us his Discovery Season 1 art. Really wonderful. And then we will get trivia with Jim.
Ending the series where we started. I love the symmetry. But that is all same time. That's right, same time with the new time next week. But for now, it's time to end transmission. Thank you, everybody.